to the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network. Dan LaForest, Coach Bill Daniel, episode number 20, Coach. Welcome back.
20, and we got a great show, don't we, tonight? Coach Brad Lloyd from Foundation Academy talks about how he's transitioned into a new recruiting role. And then we got the pride of Pine Hills, Kenard Lang, returning to his alma mater to try to resurrect the Trojan program.
You know, it's so funny. We're starting to see more and more alumnus come back and coach their alumni teams. Kenard Lang coming back to Evans. We're seeing it across the state of Florida. But you're right. Coach Lord from Foundation Academy, his new role as the athletic collegiate planning director, he's actually helping kids plan for their next level in college, whether it be test scores, understanding the recruiting process, things of that nature. And we all know how crazy the recruiting process has become. So it's nice to have somebody that's allocated over at Foundation Academy and setting the tone for possibly a model with other schools around the state.
You've got it. And it's not just for football. He will be creating individualized roadmaps for all athletes within the various Lions programs, from softball, swimming, cross country, football, baseball, basketball, you name it. He's going to be a busy man in this new role. It's not going to be a retirement where he's just fading off into the sunset. He might be busier now than he was as the head coach of the Foundation program.
You know, we saw a lot of new signings this year, a lot of commitments this past week, I should say. Across the state of Florida, that whole recruiting process is starting to wind down a little bit right now as far as offers, isn't it, Coach?
I think so. And what's happening is it was a little slow for a while, but the evaluation with the number of kids that have visited campuses, participated in camps, so many schools are taking road trips, bus tours, visiting 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 colleges with kids. And I mean, you have individuals in different communities. It's not just school-based. They're taking kids from entire regions of the state, out of state, to multiple colleges to get exposure for these kids. And there for a while, early part of the summer, early part June, early July, especially when the dead period ended in July and you could get college face-to-face kids in front of coaches. Coaches were hesitant to offer up scholarships at that point because they were behind. And I know Coach Lord's going to want to talk about that just based on what we've heard already from him so far. So I don't want to spill everything he's going to say, but now you're starting to see college coaches, they've had a chance, kids coming in and out of their buildings, and they're having a better sense of who they want and how those individual kids will fit into their programs within certain positions of need for those programs.
Well, I tell you what, let's get ready for this episode. We've got Brad Lord from Foundation Academy and Coach Kenard Lang from Evans coming up right after these messages. You're watching the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network.
The best part of my job is helping people realize not only their dreams, but also their potential. My name is Dan LaForest, and I am a wealth advisor with Security Financial Management. No matter how good you may be at a skill, it's always important to have a coach to help you refine those skills and game plan for the next challenge. Helping clients realize the process will give them the confidence of knowing that we have taken the appropriate steps to protect themselves and their families.
Why did the golfer wear 2 pairs of pants? In case he got a hole in one.
Well, that's what I call a rib tickler. And here's something else you'll get a kick out of. Come into Gators Dockside during Rib Fest and enjoy delicious fall-off-the-bone ribs, char-grilled to order in one of 5 amazing flavors. For wings, seafood, sports, and ribs, you know where to go. It's Rib Fest at Gators Dockside. Meet me at the dock.
This is Sports Thread, and this is the new free Sports Thread app, changing recruiting forever.
Once again, here we go. Know the name, know the flow.
The first social network made for athletes, where you can show your talent.
Thought I was weak, huh? You ain't see the work I put in all week, huh?
And where you can be seen by athletes, fans, and coaches nationwide. Upload all your stats to the app. Get exposure to college coaches. Get clout. And get certified with a check mark that will change your life. Join the squad. Download the Sports Thread app today. Sports Thread, it's always free.
Welcome back to the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network. Dan LaForest, Coach Bill Daniel, and joining us, Coach Brad Lord from Foundation Academy. Coach, welcome to the Florida Gridiron Report.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I love what you guys are doing for our football players and young people all over the state, Central Florida.
Well, I tell you, Coach, you know, one thing we want to congratulate you on is your quote-unquote retirement from coaching. But where you have really landed is going to be equally as important for not only Foundation Academy, but setting an example for other schools around the state. And now that you're not only the director of football operations for Foundation Academy, but you now hold the title of athletic collegiate placement director. How important is that in today's recruiting environment?
I think it's going to be, well, put it this way. I've been busy every day. Haven't had many days off playing golf, but it's going to be crucial now on marketing and getting your players noticed. And there's going to be different ways you're going to live and learn. I mean, with the transfer portal and the extra years eligibility and recovering from the pandemic, I mean, there's a lot of new things that I've been pretty good at this recruiting for a long time. We've put in over 40 kids playing college football since 2008 at the next level, at all various levels. But it's changing. It changes like every month.
You know, Coach Daniel, you've coached in Central Florida for a long period of time. The recruiting process has changed so drastically over the years. And now that we're seeing the transfer portal becoming such a predominant factor in how college programs are building their rosters, do you see some value in what Coach Lord is doing?
I think it's incredible. And first of all, congratulations, Coach Lord. I would
Thank
say
you.
It's quasi-retirement. And I have a feeling
Reinvented, Coach. He's reinvented.
he's not going to be dealing with X's and O's and watching opponent film, but he's going to be watching a lot of film, and he's going to be reaching out and have more contact. I don't see any, as far as his time is concerned, he's going to be just as busy, just doing different things in that role. And I think that's critical. Recruiting, that landscape has changed. I mean, technology with the invention of Huddle started to transition to provide more instant access to college coaches. But as we continue to evolve when it comes to recruiting, some schools have college and career specialists on their campuses. And that really gives those students at those high schools an advantage when it comes to navigating selecting a college, just from a general population student, not talking athletics, but it allows them to understand FAFSA. It gives them a leg up in applying for scholarships and meeting deadlines to the specific schools that they want to apply to. And those specialists on those campuses provide tremendous value. However, schools don't have anything that Foundation Academy has, not here in Central Florida, at least, and everything falls on the head coach's shoulders. So the position that Coach Lord, he's really a trailblazer here that I think will set a standard for other schools, both private and public, to copy in the coming years.
You know, it's funny because, you know, we all are going to date ourselves a little bit. You know, it used to be where the recruiting process included, but not limited to, college coaches coming down and dealing only with the high school coaches. And that has changed drastically. But, you know, this isn't just about football. This is about every sport. Coach Lord, give us some insight in how you're taking this program and applying it at Foundation Academy so it benefits all student athletes.
So I sort of use my football model where, you know, I've done marketing with press releases on kids with their stats, and using max preps and huddles is a great thing. And, you know, I have a great guidance department at Foundation Academy. Our president of the school and athletic department loves to see kids move on. We've had success on football, and now we're going to take it to a next level. Like, I have a cross country young man right now who I've just learned how to talk to track coaches and cross country coaches. It was great learning this thing. So Basketball's a little different and baseball's a little different because a lot of the recruiting comes from AAU and travel teams. Football, track, golf's even a little different, but there are sports where I'm going to be really, I think it's going to be, a lot of kids get stressed out by the recruiting process, and their parents get even more stressed out. So I'm sort of going to be like a guidance counselor, a marketing agent, and what I tell the parents and the athletes is, I can present you the pie. We're gonna, my background was in sales and Cisco Foods before I got into coaching, and we're gonna get you out there, but we're gonna be realistic, and we're gonna pick your colleges that we think you can go to, and then we'll go from there. So it's sort of like being an extra guidance counselor for athletes. And athletes, I tell my athletes, if you're going to pick a school just because of football, you're going to school for the wrong reason. You're going to have to live there for 4 years. And what degree are they going to ask? And you need to ask questions like, how many students do you place in the job market after graduation? So I tried to do that, and I'm learning as I go. I'm learning about swimming, which is awesome. And it's really a wealth of knowledge. And for me, on a selfish reason, it keeps me where I am with the kids, working with the kids and seeing kids progress. Because that's why I was in this for years. Yeah, I love football, and I love winning games and winning regional championships and things like that. But nothing's better than that kid who calls you 15 years later on Father's Day because he didn't have a father and says, thank you, coach. You were like a dad to me. So it's about the kids. I want to navigate them to the best of my ability. We're blessed at Foundation Academy that our president of the school and our academic dean and athletic director believed in this, what we were thinking of doing. And it also lets me help Coach Walker in his first year as a head coach.
Coach Dana?
Coach, it sounds like your role, you're going to be part-time therapist, part-time advisor. I love how you emphasize that you'll be openly honest with both the athlete and the parents to be realistic, because I know before in our production meetings, you were sharing with us the challenges that kids today in not only this recruiting cycle that just ended, but the up and coming one for the class of 2022, that ability to be honest and communicate open the challenges, that if you feel this is the school for you, don't wait around, jump on it. Could you share many of those challenges in your new role that you're already discovering?
Yeah. You got to be, I'm very careful at it. Again, I present the pies to them, but I also have talked to the parents of, like I said, we have 3 Power 5 kids this year in the defensive line. We have a 2023 Division I player and a couple of D1 players. And I try to treat them just like I would a D3 player. I tell these guys, if you think you're going to D3 and they're just going to have a cakewalk, you're not going to. You're going to have to do it harder. You're not going to have all the resources that these Power 5 guys have. So our kids have gone on visits. I have one more going on, one more official visit. And I think it is important for them to commit and do their homework on the school, not just commit because of football. Commit on, do I like it? Can I deal with the weather? Do I like the area I'm in? Do I feel the coaches are loving on me, or are they just going to forget about me? So I try and prep my students for that. This year is a different year. And yes, they probably have to jump quicker this year than they probably will in the future or in the past. But who knows with this transfer portal? I mean, there were some offers that some of my kids got that got filled through the portal. It's just the day and the time. So if a kid really loves the school and the parents are behind it and they're all in, I say commit, because the commitment now isn't a signed one until early signing day. Kids don't want to decommit. It's a bad look. All right. So you have to do your homework on where you think you want to be.
The best part of my job is helping people realize not only their dreams, but also their potential. My name is Dan LaForest, and I am a wealth advisor with Security Financial Management. No matter how good you may be at a skill, it's always important to have a coach to help you refine those skills and game plan for the next challenge. Helping clients realize the process will give them the confidence of knowing that we have taken the appropriate steps to protect themselves and their families.
Why did the golfer wear 2 pairs of pants? In case he got a hole in one.
Now that's what I call a rib tickler. And here's something else you'll get a kick out of. Come into Gators Dockside during Rib Fest and enjoy delicious fall-off-the-bone ribs, char-grilled to order in one of 5 amazing flavors. For wings, seafood, sports, and ribs, you know where to go. It's Rib Fest at Gators Dockside. Meet me at the dock.
Hi, I'm Angel Crowson, and I'm with the A-Team of Charles Ruttenberg Realty. We're located in delightful downtown DeLand, and we service all of Central Florida. Our team is here to serve you for all of your real estate needs, whether you're buying, selling, or looking to invest. There is no time like the present to sell your existing home and buy your new one with the A-Team. Call me, Angel Crowson, so the A-Team can deliver your dream today.
You know, Coach, one of the biggest, I guess, challenges that I've seen here in recent years are kids going away to school and getting frustrated and getting homesick. You know, I always tell kids the number one rule is you're going to miss your mama. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what you think right now. I promise you're going to get homesick. You need a support staff, and you have to go through that process. What are some of those discussions you're having with some of these young people, helping them get ready to move on? Because at the end of the day, we don't have any Division II, Division III schools really in the state of Florida. They're all D1s.
We have West Florida, okay, and then you have the one FCS schools, all right, and you had another D2, Florida Tech, that folded their program, and the NAIA schools. Listen, Southeastern and Kaiser, they're dang good football programs. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Corey Raymond, one of our studs who came out of Foundation, he was All-American at Southeastern. They play some good football. And I also tell these kids that. Say you get a tweener kid, you think he's a D2 to D1 or D2 to D3. Football's football. The only difference between the football levels, I'd say, are the Division I kids at the FBS and Power 5 level are bigger, faster, and stronger. I've seen some great Division III football players in my time. I went to Ithaca College and Bridgewater State. I've seen some great players there. I've seen great Evan Thompson and Corey. They were fantastic football players. Telling my kids how to get ready for going away. First of all, at Foundation, we tell all our kids, even though 49 states are test optional right now, we tell all our kids to take the ACT and SAT. Get a baseline. Because you never know, like you said, Dan, UConn's cold, right? You end up in Florida, you got to come back. And Florida is, the public schools in Florida require the ACT and SAT right now. Yep. And that's, you learn all these new things that come at you in this recruiting coordinator position. Clearinghouse. I can tell you that 90% of the parents don't know what NCAA clearinghouse is. They don't know that their son needs to be signed up by their junior year for NCAA clearinghouse, and that they have to get through the NCAA clearinghouse to go to school, So things like that. Constant reminders on questions to ask when you go to the school, things like that.
Coach, I'm really curious in this day and age. July 1 opened the recruiting period, ended the dead period, but also here in the state of Florida with new legislation, name, image, and likeness. I mean, the UCF basketball team, women's basketball team, already contracted by a local refuge company.
That is going to come into play.
What interesting stories have you heard already from colleges and how they're trying to incorporate that into the recruiting process as they speak with high school players?
Well, I think some of the smart coaches will take time to figure this thing out a little bit. And, you know, I was talking to Dan this morning on this. I mean, I'm not in full agreement with this, but this was a forced issue. Okay. This came about because of neglect. And you know, it's going to come into play. Hey, where can I get my most, where am I going to play right away? Am I going to be able to have my name on the back of a shirt? What endorsements is it? And I don't think anyone's going to run into things and overpromise and underdeliver, but I think the coaches are going to investigate on how to handle this the best way. There's going to be some nightmares go on with this. Okay. And I don't think all the coaches are very thrilled about this. I know if my star quarterback was walking around with $1.5 million on campus, I'd be worried about him, you know? So I you know, Dan and I talked earlier when they did it. I wish there was going to be a cap on it, but we'll see what happens. And for us in recruiting with the transfer portal and all this stuff, for these big time college coaches, this is their new frontier, how they navigate through that.
And I'm curious, take your recruiter's hat off and put your head coach cap back on.
I'm not happy about it.
Do you think that this will put high school and college coaches into a predicament when it comes to playing time? Just, I'll leave for the transfer portal because I can have another opportunity somewhere else. This is a hornet's nest that people have not clearly thought about.
And absolutely. I mean, as a coach, I wouldn't be thrilled about this. But then as a coach, I wasn't thrilled about social media when it started hitting years ago. Okay. But I learned how to navigate it in a positive way. And I believe that's what these college coaches are going to have to do. They're going to have to, if they're going to keep this, they're going to have to learn how to navigate it and control it. Because when I went back, played in college, it was school wasn't the most important thing, and how I got into college, it's shocking how I got in, right? I wasn't the best student, but nowadays kids get to have grades and stuff. Now you throw all this money on them, and I don't know, how are they going to get paid? They're going to get paid monthly. They're going to get endorsements. Now you got to worry about your star player going out on a Thursday night before a Saturday game with $1,000 in his pocket. I mean, that's scary.
Show up the night before you travel because they've got to be at a restaurant that's paying them for appearances.
Correct. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it's something that the big college coaches like Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney, they're going to probably have someone just committed to dealing with that, on their staff.
Well, Coach, listen, the one of the biggest changes that's happened here in the last couple of months is the college campuses are now open to visits, and that's something a lot of these kids haven't been able to do for over a year. Tell us about the camp experience and some of the changes that you saw here this summer compared to what we've seen in previous years.
So we went to 8 camps. We started at UCF with their 7-on-7 and lineman challenge. Our 3 defensive linemen were in the top 5 defensive linemen at the end of it. And what I saw was college coaches weren't buzzing around giving. Some colleges were giving offers away, and some were tight on their offers compared to what I've seen in the past. 2 years ago, when we went to Alabama, Clemson, Florida State, so they were popping out offers pretty heavy. I feel like the coaches, from what I see overall, and we went to UCF, FIU, Florida, Georgia Southern, Miami, they were holding those offers a little tighter to the vest than they were at the camps. I mean, usually so one of our players got offered by FIU, and there were only 6 kids in the room. They pulled when they do the offer, they usually pull the coach and the kid to the coach's office or to a room, and they'll do the formal offer with the coach. There were only 6 kids in there that day, and there was 1,500 at that camp, easy. So there were 6 kids in there.
Why do you think that is, Coach? Is it because they haven't had the one-to-one contact to build those relationships, so they're a bit hesitant to make an offer, or is there another reason?
First time they've seen most of the kids were at these camps. So usually they'd come visit, see them in spring, develop a little bit of a relationship with them, then see them at the summer camp, and they get a better feel for it. Sort of like having aces in a poker game. I think some of these guys are going to hold on to some of the offers to see what they can get out of the transfer portal. I hate to say that. All right. I mean, that's still going on. There's no deadline on the transfer portal. That's another thing. I don't think there's a deadline on the transfer portal. Maybe it is August 1st. I'm not sure about that. But again, I didn't see the offers flowing, say from like a Georgia Southern, a smaller, great football program, but a little bit smaller than Alabama, right? Where in the past, maybe you'd see 10 or 15 offers at a camp. You might only have seen 2. And that's what I saw at the camps. I saw a lot of coaches doing their homework. I saw a lot of coaches from big schools up in the Northeast and, Middle America down at the University of Florida. I mean, Pitt was there. There were a few, Troy, I think, was there. So you saw other coaches, and it looked like these coaches were really doing their homework because I think they felt they were behind the 8 ball too, and which they were.
Coach, listen, if there are other athletic directors or coaches out there that want to learn a little bit more of what Foundation Academy and yourself have put together, how would they contact you?
They can email me. Dan, you have my email. Have them email me. I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty good at this thing. I'm learning every day with it. And, at Foundation Academy, we like helping everyone. So I love talking to other people, other coaches, seeing what they need. I do believe this position is going to be something in the future at a lot of schools because I think we're going to show success. I mean, like I said, I've got some swimmers, a cross-country track kid right now I'm working with on getting them scholarships. And then I'm going to tell you what I really enjoy too. The scholarship kids, they usually take care of themselves, okay? I like placing that D2, D3 kid who doesn't know what he's doing, or my kid who has a 1450 on the SAT, and he's asking me, Coach, what do you think, Davidson or Harvard or
Tuscaloosa?
And then you're talking Johns Hopkins, and then you're talking these kids about, hey, this is what you're going to have to commit to go to those type schools. Is it worth it? And is it worth it to walk away from the bright future money that you're going to get going to a Florida public school? So that brings in a whole nother thing. So like we said earlier, it's counseling, and you have to be careful on how you approach the families and the kids. The kids are easy. It's like Nick Saban said, how many of you football coaches have problems with parents? I saw him say this at a convention, and some of the football coaches raised their hands. He goes, try coaching baseball. They all played Little League. I thought that was a great comment. So,
Coach, thank you for joining us. This is Coach Brad Lord from Foundation Academy. You're watching the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network, and we'll be back right after these messages.
When you're a star high school student athlete, you compete tirelessly on the court and in the classroom to achieve your one dream of playing in college. Top schools recruit you and even offer you a scholarship. Then senior year hits, and you find out that the class you took actually doesn't count. Your GPA is .25 off, or your SAT score is 10 points too low. All because your counselor, your coach, and your parents couldn't make sense of the rules. And by the time you find out, it was too late to catch up. Boom. Game over. Honest Game is the clear pathway for getting in. We automate the process so the student, the parent, the coach, the counselor, and the college all get real-time eligibility updates. With Honest Game, everyone knows what to do before it's too late. In the last 20 years, total athletic scholarship money has grown from $2.5 million to over $3 billion. With the NCAA on the verge of allowing student athletes to earn money on their likeness, recruits and college coaches will more than ever need to know their eligibility status. Learn more at honestgame.com and let the dream live on.
Welcome back to the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network. Dan LaForest, Coach Billy Daniel, and joining us, the new head coach of Orlando Evans High School, Coach Kenard Lang. Coach, welcome to the Florida Gridiron Report.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
You know, Coach Daniel, this guy has had a heck of a career playing football, but he's also coached a little bit along the way. But let's talk a little bit about the fact that you were the offense coordinator over at Evans High School when Kenard was a player.
Well, Kenard and I go way back. Our paths go back to when he was 12 years old. Coached against him at Pine Hills Little League as a 6', 12-year-old, while I had a bunch of 4', 12-year-olds that were intimidated by him. Also coached him his senior year in baseball at Evans High School. So our paths are crossed forever. While I wasn't the offensive coordinator, I was the quarterback's coach and receivers coach. Kenard transferred in from Dr. Phillips his sophomore year, and we were able, he was on the JV for us. We were loaded back then, and he was he was developing. He came in, everything was new, and we were able to steal him, and he played a little tight end for us. All right.
And I'm thinking back, and was that 91? When was that 91?
91 was his junior season, so he transferred in 90 as a
90.
sophomore.
And who was the head coach at Dr. Phillips then?
Ooh, Carlson.
Tom Carlson.
There you go.
Who he and I coached together in 2006 at Boone Defense to a state championship game. Tom was a great coach, but Kenard moved in. His father had transferred from Dr. Phillips to Apopka. They lived in the Pine Hills area. It was at Kenard, if I'm wrong, it was your home school, correct?
Yep, yes, it was.
So that was the main reason. Dad was no longer at Dr. Phillips, so there wasn't any ill will. Kenard wasn't the LeBron James before LeBron leaving one school as a star athlete. And Kenard was a three-sport athlete. He hasn't shared that with us, but he went from football to basketball and then to baseball during his high school career. So he could do it all, and that's why we tried him at tight end. But it was inevitable once you saw him on defense. And he didn't start out with his hand down, which he would ultimately have a 10-year NFL career with his hand in the dirt. We started him as a stand-up Sam linebacker, and it was a joy to watch him go attack.
You know, it's always great to coach guys who are athletic, and you know, obviously you had such a good time. But you know, Coach, let's talk about the fact that you know you were a standout at Orlando Evans. Obviously a standout. Everybody knows that you played for the University of Miami. You played 10 years in the NFL with the Browns, the Redskins, and the Broncos. But you've also coached here recently as well in high school and in college.
Yes, I did. I say high school wise, I started off at Jones High School, which was honest. Like I'd probably say, you know what? A lot of times people want to get that big job first, which is cool. But I'd probably say going to Jones was the best thing that happened for me because the reason why, because I had to do everything. So, and doing everything. So now I know when I progressed, I left from Jones, I went to Wekiva, and therefore I knew the ins and outs of like, you know, who's responsible for getting these certain items, who get the knee pads, who get the shoulder pads, what the athletic department, you know, is responsible for. But most importantly though, I always I just enjoyed coaching. I mean, that's always been in me. I'll probably say I've been very fortunate, like all the teams I've been on, either I was the team captain or I was like the captain of that group. So I'll probably say I knew I was a coach when I was in the NFL. I had my coach, D-line coach named Coach Patterson. Every time a rookie come in, he said, Lane, get them for me. So, hey, I do film study with them. I break it down, let them know the tendencies and do's and don'ts. And I always had a tendency to kind of gravitate and kind of communicate. So from that point and kind of people looking up to me in that aspect, that's what kind of led me into coaching and high school coaching, which is pretty freaking awesome to me, to be honest with you. I really love it. I enjoy it a lot.
Well, one of the things about Kenard, everybody in the country was recruiting him. He rates right up there with one of the most recruited athletes in football. Maynard Evans High School, if we want to pronounce it correctly, has ever had. Leon Searcy went to the U ahead of Kenard, had an incredible career with the Steelers and the Jaguars in the NFL. Horace Copeland was ahead of him. It was almost a pipeline to South Florida there for a while, coming out of Pine Hills. But Kenard was recruited just as highly as any of the players that had ever came out. And the one thing that you could tell that was special about Kenard, he came into Dr. Phillips and he came into one of the top programs into the state. And Dan, he's 6'5", 235 pounds as he comes in. I mean, he's a man-child that could run. You couldn't fool him. You seldom could fool him on his feet. That's how he could play a stand-up linebacker, and he could run from sideline to sideline. But the thing about Kenard was, and it's a great lesson for kids these days, Kenard wasn't all about Kenard. Kenard was there to make the program better. He was truly a leader because he was a team player. He was willing to look up to the older guys, those in front of him, and listen instead of saying, hey, I'm the best cat on this defense. I'm the most recruited cat on this defense. He was truly a team player and listened and wanted to be a part of the group. And that was what was so impressive about him. There was a time, an episode, Kenard will probably bring a smile to your face. We're playing Sarasota Riverview in the state quarterfinal. And they're running John Sprague down there, legendary coach down in the Gulf Coast with Joe Kenard at Manatee. Those were the top two names down there for years. They're running veer option out of the bone, and they're attacking Kenard. He's not playing well in the first half. And Avaris Holman and Sean D. Brown. Now, Sean D. Brown, that name may sound familiar to you because his son was just in the Final Four with Michigan with the same name and namesake. They've got Kenard over, and at halftime, before the coaches even got into the locker room, in that tiny little locker room down at Riverview High School, and Kenard is working as hard as he can, and Sean D. and Avaris, and it was that you loved it when the kids policed themselves, they coached themselves, they learned from each other, and as a coach, those were dream players, and he would listen, and we went back out there, and we stole a game in double overtime, and ultimately made it to the state final where we would both get a ring. And that's the type of young man Kenard was as an athlete. So he naturally gravitates to people. He's a leader, but he's willing to listen. And it doesn't surprise me that an NFL coach would turn responsibility when it came to scouting and tendencies over to him and let him run defensive line rooms, a meeting room, because that's just the type of person he is.
You know what, Coach? You know, the thing is when you become something great, you had to be influenced by something great, right? who were the greatest influences on you throughout your playing career and your early coaching years that's helped you develop into the football coach you are today?
Wow. Man, you know what? Honestly, I could probably say Dennis Erickson on the aspect of caring and compassion and running through a wall for a coach. It was Coach Erickson and other coach named Coach McMacken. I mean, Coach Erickson, honestly, he had your back no matter what. Like this, you can go rob a bank. The camera will be in your face. You can look at the camera smiling and say, yeah, it's me. Coach Erickson will still stay right there beside you. He's one of those guys. And you walk by his office, he'll say, hey, Kenard, you ain't going to come in and say hello? He's not a coach that you couldn't touch. He asked about he always asked how's grandmama doing, how's granddaddy. So it was personal with him that as far as the coaching aspect. Other coach who like to this day, God bless him, Marty Schottenheimer is another one. Marty was like probably one of the best coaches they ever had, like from myself to Champ Bailey to Darryl Green to Marco Coleman to Bruce Smith. He held everybody accountable. Everybody got put on the same level. And everything about him was about life lessons. We talked about football, but most importantly, the battles that you got going on during the game, how's it going to teach you in life? He always had a slogan. He always had his deal. He'd say, take your pen out, fellas. That means, okay, he got something coming. I remember to this day, he said, this is his quote, before you make a decision, you control it. But once you make it, it controls you. So he always said, if you don't want to put yourself in that situation, want to go through that, don't make that bad decision. So Coach Schottenheimer was one of those guys that he was genuine. He cared, he looked out for it, and he really had your best interest in it. And the other one, probably head coach-wise, would be Romeo Cannell. He was the same way, personable. You could talk to him. He's like your uncle aspect as far as like relationship. You still respect him, but you still able to communicate to him and talk to him and everything. And those were the head coaches that I probably say had a real big influence on me. And even with like talk about the self-policing, like how Coach Daniels was talking. That's kind of I learned even through like Miami with Coach Erickson, Coach Schottenheimer and Coach Cornell. That's what I do to my team now. I say great teams, self-police. Good teams, coach police. It got to come to a point where y'all got to take the bull by the horns and take over. So that's a little bit my coaching style that I kind of got, that I rubbed into, that I kind of passed off into my kids as well, as far as like being accountable and most important, do the little things to amount the big things. And I'll probably say, if anything, humility. Humility is the key for anybody. We had it to a point where we're in the huddle, where like, if you want to get talked about, you better know what to do. This is how it was in Miami. We're in the huddle with Warren Sapp, Ray Lewis, Rohan Marley, Patrick Riley, Kenny Holmes, all these first round picks. If you want to get cussed out, you better take care of your job. So we can be to Coach Mackin, hey, Coach Mackin, get this guy out of here. He don't know what he's doing. All 10 guys will be like that. So if you want to get treated like that, you better know what to do. But that's when the self-policing came in, where not so much as me. Now you're afraid of letting your teammates down. If you're not afraid to let your teammates down, you're on the wrong team. That means you ain't taking this personal. That means you ain't trying to be the best player you can be. So so all my little coaching styles and stuff that I got from those guys, that's how I try to implement into my guys and rub off to them. Like, hey, you still go out there, be hard-nosed, tough, and be physical. But most importantly, you got to be smart and hold each other accountable doing the little things.
Coach D?
Everything said, it doesn't surprise me at all. Kenard, you've been in the high schools, as we said, at Jones, at Wekiva, at Oak Ridge. You had a chance to go after the Evans job and elected not to, and went to the college ranks instead to coach with Butch Davis at FIU. And
yes,
you called me the week of signing week and kind of shared with me. And I mean, I love you like a brother, even though I'm a lot older than you and coached you. We're Pine Hills. There's a bond between us. Let's just say that. And you kind of let me know that you were coming back to Orlando. And I thought that was fantastic. Two-part question here. Number one, why Evans? Why now?
Well, why Evans? Most important, that's why I wanted to be in the first place. When I first retired from the NFL, I wanted to go to Evans, but the job was already occupied, I think, at the time by our AD, who is now Coach Thompson. So I always wanted to wait. So I said, you know what? I'll just wait my turn. Then this past year, I felt like the opportunity really happened where it was my last year. I had one more year left on my coaching contract in college. But the Evans job opened up. And now it's finally opened up where it's like a clean deal. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, it's open. It's a fair shot for everybody going in. Because I'm not an ill will kind of person and kind of nasty. I'm not about that no means. So when it happened, I said, you know what? This is the opportunity. And most importantly, I was trying to come back home. I got my mom, my dad here who's growing older. We got to be honest. When you come home and you see your parents getting older and, it kind of tugs at you. Then you ask yourself this, am I doing college football because I want to or because I have to? Is important to me. Because, to me, that's where it is. Everybody, a lot of people say what they want. A lot of success why schools are neighboring because they got kids that's from Evans. So hopefully by me coming back, hopefully I'll be able to retain my kids now. Hopefully my kids will come back. Hey, to each their own. Hey, I know how the game go, a fair game. If that school ain't doing well, I told them to stay and kids go to different schools. But now you got somebody there who has knowledge, who's been there, and most importantly, who want to give back to the community and watch the kids grow and give this something that I didn't have, which is knowledge to the game, and most importantly, somebody who's really there, really sincere and care about your well-being, where you're going to be in life, and what's really important.
And I knew family was important to you as a reason, and you didn't mention, but I know the girls, to be able to see them on a full-time basis. I can see the twinkle in your eyes right now.
Yeah.
I know that was really important to you. You have a challenge similar, Sanford Seminoles at the top of the mountain right now. Coming off of a state championship, you have the same challenge that Don Stark, the previous head coach, had, that if I could build a fence, and a la very similar to the Canes, if we could build a fence around Miami when it was first said, and then Coach Stark was, if I could build a fence around Sanford and keep them home, these types of successful seasons will happen in due time. It's the same with Pine Hills. I know you lose them. To any number of 5 different schools.
Yes.
So you're coming back. And I really think that it is a great time because you come back not only as a graduate, as an alum, but you come back having coached in the college ranks. And a high school coach's role is quite different now, even than it was when you were at Oak Ridge. When you start coming into recruiting, when you start talking name, image, and likeness, Coach Lord in our previous segment before you came on was talking about his new role as he's transitioned from a head coach into typically a recruiting specialist to help all athletes on his campus. Something that the private schools cannot do. And we even kind of marveled, public schools are going to struggle with this because this is now more responsibility on a head coach's shoulders. But you come in different than any other coach in the state of Florida, quite possibly, because you've been on the other side of that recruiting table and have a very strong perspective of how to counsel a young man when it comes to his future. Share with us strategies or ways that you will work with families to take total care of their child, not only on the football field, but in the classroom and also in their future.
You know what? But most important, like you just said, I start off with the classroom first, because there is no classroom, there is no football. So that's one thing I stress most importantly with the academics. And in saying that, with the college level now, it's more or less like now, if I got a kid, so most like, to be honest with you, like ninth graders, incoming guys, if I got guys who I know that's going to be like college football players, first thing I already do, I check on see how many math classes they're taking, how many sciences, how many NCAA classes have they already taken to make sure they be qualified. So, for example, I know some kids now are really taking algebra that's coming out of middle school. But if I got a kid that's in 10th grade who hasn't even taken geometry yet, then that kind of like, okay, you need to take an online class to help you get caught up. So you come your senior year, you have your 4th year of math. So if anything, I'd say the college aspect wise really taught me on far as like what classes the kids need to have academically with the GPA. Another thing too, most importantly, the character, how you going to be, yes sir, no sir, kind of guy, or you coachable. Another deal would be also kids love it is like their Twitter handle. Like they don't realize everybody see their Twitter. They think their neighbor next door can see their Twitter. Okay, so if I'm a college guy and I see a Twitter with a whole bunch of foolishness on it, with shenanigans and stuff that's negative, I'm going to think twice about you. But that's another realm where I can kind of help them out. And also in helping out the parents. I help out the parents on the aspect as far as the recruiting aspect on what's really important that you should be looking for. For example, if they're going to bring your child in and come in a red shirt, I tell guys, if you red shirt, number one, you should not leave college with no less than your master's degree. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But now, how they got you going to summer school year round, so you go 4 classes each semester. All right, so that's 4 and 4, that's 16. All right, that's credit. Now you're going to summer school, you're taking 2 classes each summer school session, so that's another semester you just completed. So in retrospect, in 2 years of college, if you go to both summer sessions, you almost completed 4 years of school. So if you completed 4 years of school within 2 years' time, that means typically you could leave there with your specialties. So going back to saying that is this, when you get your college courses, you don't have them set up in the underwater basket weaving and whistling Dixie classes, okay? You make sure you go to classes so you get your education in the aspect of this. You hate to use it in this context. When you go to college, they're using you to help sell tickets and build buildings. Now, it's only so right for you to use them back, not necessarily in the image and likeness deal, or more or less in the academics they give it to you for free. If they give you that for free, use them up on that. Get your master's degree, because a lot of guys don't realize if you're 22 or 23 years old, coming out to your specialist degree out of college, you a bad man. So in saying that, that's how I say the college aspect has helped me on the academic wise, on the ins and outs. Now on the physical aspect wise, the training wise, I got more or less a lot of the college workouts with Coach Swayze, who trained myself, Adrian James, Andre Johnson, Ed Reed, and all those guys. So I have that element with me with a lot of the core training and functional stuff and brought back with me. So, and saying all that, that kind of helped me out a lot as far as knowing the ins and outs of the college and that deal, and most importantly, the connections I made with other coaches. So I still now met a lot of other college coaches who have other programs and stuff. And now where I do have a kid who's special, I can easily shoot him an email or give him a call and say, hey, I got this kid you need to check out. So in that deal, college has helped me out and well-rounded me out in a lot of areas that I feel can help the kids out.
And Dan, I'm going to tell you right now, as an 18-year-old, the University of Florida wanted him, and they were trying to sell their alumni base and what they could do for him after his playing career was over. And I'll never forget it. As an 18-year-old, he looked at me and he goes, Florida has a Southeastern reach. The Hebert Business School at the University of Miami has a national reach. So he was thinking about these things back when he was a high school senior. So they're important to him. And this isn't just fluff that he's given us. This is the real deal, and how this man operates in his own life and how he's going to counsel anybody that's privileged to be on that Trojan football team in the coming years.
Coach Lang, now you're back in, you've been through a spring, you've been through summer conditioning with the Evans Trojans. Give us your outlook for 2021, and who are some of the guys you're excited to see on the field for you guys as you go to battle this fall?
Sure, I guess the outlook, first and foremost, like we aiming for a state championship. That's first and foremost. That's our goal every year. But in saying that as well, we know we got a tough district ahead of, Apopka still that powerhouse, and we know Lake Brantley, we lost to him last year not to make the playoffs, and I know we got a new guy also as well. We got Westport. So Westport is also new to our area. So we know that's kind of the little teams that we're going to have to deal with, much respect. But in saying that, though, we go out there and play hard and take care of business. I think we do fine. We return some good guys. Most importantly, one of our guys who's blue chip, everybody know Markeith Williams, who's our safety. He's another one of our guys that's to be there. We got Jeremiah Sims, who's our running back, who's another guy who's doing well. We got Tyler Jones, who's gonna be playing linebacker for us. We got another guy named Felix Barrington, who'll be playing safety and receiver for us as well. And up front wise, I think that's gonna be our strong point is our offensive line. So like almost Coach Daniels back in the day when I was back at Evans, back at the Wild Hogs up front. So we got some big hogs up front to help us out. Zy Fagan, he leads us. He's a senior. And also we got another guy who's up and coming, who's our sophomore. Here I got offers from Maryland and South Florida, who's our offensive tackle, Chris St. Jean. So we're gonna be like stout up front, and we're really gonna depend on our up front guys as far as leading the way for us.
All right, Coach, that's about all we've got for time for today. We appreciate you coming on the Florida Gridiron Report. We hope you're going to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, there's an invitation. I'm there. Just let me know.
Well, we got a closing here. Guys, you're watching the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network, and we'll be back right after this.
The best part of my job is helping people realize not only their dreams, but also their potential. My name is Dan LaForest, and I am a wealth advisor with Security Financial Management. No matter how good you may be at a skill, it's always important to have a coach to help you refine those skills and game plan for the next challenge. Helping clients realize the process will give them the confidence of knowing that we have taken the appropriate steps to protect themselves and their families.
This is Sports Thread, and this is the new free Sports Thread app, changing recruiting forever.
Once again, here we go. Know the name, know the flow.
The first social network made for athletes, where you can show your talent.
Thought I was weak, huh? You ain't see the work I put in all week, huh?
And where you can be seen by athletes, fans, and coaches nationwide. Upload all your stats to the app. Get exposure to college coaches. Get clout. And get certified with a check mark that will change your life. Join the squad. Download the Sports Thread app today. Sports Thread, it's always free.
Welcome back to the Florida Gridiron Report right here on Varsity Sports Network. Dan LaForest, the voice of VSN Orlando, Coach Bill Daniel. Coach, we had a great show once again, episode 20 in the books.
Episode 20 did not disappoint. I learned so much from Coach Lord with the challenges. We talked about it with him. Foundation Academy is setting a trend, and other schools, especially private schools, you can bet will be looking to contact him to try to replicate what Foundation Academy is doing to assist their athletes. And then Evans High School, they picked the right guy for their job, bringing Kenard Lang home, a wealth of experience, both as a high school coach in the Central Florida area, as well as the last couple years, he's been a defensive line coach at FIU for Butch Davis. Tell me, if you're a defensive lineman, what better coach would you want to play for than Kenard Lang?
Yeah, he is outstanding. You know, I had the opportunity to see him at the FACA camp or coaches clinic up in Daytona a few weeks ago, and he taught a segment on coaching defensive line, and a guy who played at the highest level and performed very well. Who better to listen to? And again, on a personal note, I like it when you start seeing some of these guys coming back to their alma mater where it really means something to you. I can tell you, it's still for me, when I walk on the field at Apopka, it means something to walk on that field as well as you at Evans. And I know that, Kenard Lang, when he gets out there on that field this year, it's going to be something great for him as well.
And Dan, we're in the broadcasting business, but we're football fans at heart. And you and I've talked about this in the past. Central Florida football is not the same when the Trojans are going 1-9, 4-6. We need the Trojans back, and I really look forward to seeing what Kenard can bring to that program and how quickly he can return them to that upper echelon of talent and teams here in the Orlando area.
That's episode 20. Coach Dan LaForest, Coach Bill Daniel. We'll see you next week right here on the Florida Gridiron Report.